to Behind the Drapes podcast. I'm your host, Expo Rich, and we are recording here at SISO Leadership Conference. I'm here with my longtime friend, Marty Glynn of Event Management. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, Rich.
This is a long time coming. You know, we've besides knowing each other a long time, I had your partner Martha on some years ago, so I was excited to be able to have you on the pod today. So what I always like to start with is the origin story of how people got into the industry. And, you know, your original side being general service contractor. So prior to that, like, what was your first access and opportunity to get into general contracting?
I just applied to a newspaper ad when I was a kid, when I got out of college. And unbeknownst to me, that after I got the job, all my childhood friends were in the industry. Because when we grew up, they went directly to work, and I went to college and lost touch with, you know, kind of the people I grew up with. And just in applying, you know, for a newspaper ad and getting a job.
That's wild.
It winds up that when I showed up, all my childhood friends were doing the same thing that I was doing. And that created, you know, an easy environment for me, because then I had a network.
Right.
Where as soon as I got into the business, there was an existing network right away.
Yeah.
Which obviously turned out to be a great accelerant.
And what was your first position when you got on into?
So the ad was for an account executive.
Okay.
And so, not knowing an account executive, but thinking it was sales.
Right.
It was actually, you're backing in trucks.
Yeah.
You know, and the organization that I worked for, they were insistent on wearing a suit.
Oh.
You know, as an account exec.
Okay.
But meanwhile, my first suits coming out of college,
Yeah.
I'd be on, you know, 52nd Street in Manhattan, backing in trucks with a suit and tie on. So, you know, eventually that led to, you know, at least getting inside and doing maintenance. So you went from, you know, loading in to, okay, now you sit behind the desk and sit here for 3 days while the show runs.
Yeah.
You know, so you're the account exec then.
Right.
But
or you're still in the suit and you're filling pub bins with magazines.
right,
You know?
right. Plenty of my suits got ripped and threaded, and you know, I think my parents were wondering, like, where'd that college education go to? You're packing in trucks?
Yeah.
Not
Are
well.
you really working? Are you in a fight club or something?
Right.
You're coming
It kind of was a fight club.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
Manhattan in those days definitely was a fight club.
a little bit of that, And so you started your career, went through working for an organization, and then transitioned, and then you had the opportunity to run it up yourself, you know. And so tell me a little bit about that, like as you transitioned from working for a company to as your own startup.
Man, I wish I could answer that. You know, the things that I thought naively at the time was what I was attempting to do, or we were attempting to do, was not even remotely in line with how it played out.
Right.
On every level. Unbeknownst, just our naivete, and then circumstantial, everything was completely not what we thought it would be.
Well, I mean, sometimes the naivete is good about breaking boundaries that if you don't know they're there. So, you know,
the naivete was, when I think back now, like the audacity to think we would start a company at that age, that was the naivete of that got it to happen, as you said.
Yeah.
But then the naivete of what you actually
What you
embarked
learn.
on,
Yeah.
that was the kind of like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah, and that's what they say about the, you know, the whole story about, like, you know, breaking the 4-minute mile, you know, and then once it's done, then, you know, so it's kind of like that. If you guys didn't see these obstacles,
If we knew the obstacles, we would have never done it.
Yeah, but and I know you guys built a successful organization, went nationwide, built it up. You guys did your exit, and then you made your transition into the organizer side. So, what was the thought and motivation behind that? Like, what made you have kind of that change in?
It wasn't calculated, really. I don't think. I think you and I share a very similar DNA in the sense of you're always trying to learn, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to learn, just as a curiosity, then comes the kind of what comes with that. Some things become actionable, where your curiosity peaks to something else.
Yep.
there was no formal kind of strategy to build a vertical, which would today be a Mesa in the U.S.
Right.
I knew at the time, like, being a show organizer was a no. You
Right.
weren't supposed to do that. And I wasn't kind of pushing up against the system. I think it became strategy when the realization of the margins on the contractor side are really difficult and getting worse.
Yeah.
And not looking at the show side and being, well, there's much better margin, go there. It just seemed a better integration of having all these pieces. They should support each other in some way. So if one goes bad, the other one stays,
Right.
just to keep the market basket clean.
Right.
Because one, we got over leveraged. Over leveraging leads to less money.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so, serendipity, and quite frankly, it was serendipity with Martha, because the plan when I was going to meet her
Right.
was not what it ended up to be.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, not at all. Like the original piece was to do a women's event.
Right.
I thought that was missing. It's 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And she had left Cranes like literally 2 days before.
Right.
And so it just was like, in comparing notes on life and vision of the business, that's what led to kind of the partnership.
Yeah.
But that wasn't calculated
Right.
at all. That just kind of happened. We dipped our toe,
Right.
We tried to acquire a show or two, and that was a incredible mistake.
Right.
That was another naivete where
Right.
you think, okay, I've been in the business for 25 years, at that point 30 years. All right, this should be part of it.
Yeah.
And it was not even close. And you referenced show organizer. I'm 10 years into this, maybe with Martha, 12, 15. I wouldn't even say a novice. I still don't even really understand it. Like,
Right.
that's a very specific skill set.
Right.
I can only just peripherally look and go, okay, I understand it a little bit, but no.
Right.
No.
Right.
And that's the naive of, you think like
Yeah.
but you don't know.
But also the personality type that you and I are both is that the curiosity will continue to pull you towards things and trying things out and
It's hard, right? You know that,
Yeah.
because when you do it and you fail,
Yeah.
then people look at you like you went over your skis.
right.
But then when you look at it as a long-term being,
Yeah.
you learn something all along that way that eventually
Yeah.
is supportive of something else somewhere else. So I think when you remove your ego a little bit about failure, it's never failure, it's just a stepping stone to
No
something
losses,
else.
just lessons, right?
Yeah, no, it's just the lessons. But when you get in rooms like this,
Right.
sometimes it's like, wow, it's imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong here because I don't know.
Yeah.
But here it is, like 40 years later, I survived somehow.
Right.
You're getting into that 30-year zone, and it's like, you survived somehow.
Yeah.
Like, even with the missteps, you're still here.
Yeah.
Right? And look where we are.
Yeah,
Right? You're sitting
exactly.
here doing this. Like, you wouldn't have calculated that in any stretch.
No, and yeah, it's kind of funny how something that was started up as a something to do when we weren't doing business, and keeping the conversations relevant and keeping in touch with people turned into something that people like and people want to hear more of. And I was like, and I'm blessed because now Vinny's asking me to be part of SISO's media center to be doing this and producing more content out of it. So.
That was the greatest part of COVID, I think, is that it flattened out opinions and knowledge, where it was always in these events, mostly it's top down, right? Show organizer and listen, right? And then COVID brought an opportunity where the voices on that supplier side
Yeah.
are as strong or as important as everybody else's. And look where you are. You're at the apex of show organizer, and you're here in a media center as a supplier.
Right.
That's treated as a media entity. I mean, that's
Right.
that's an incredible feat,
It
right?
is a
So
big
even if that wasn't concocted in your mind,
Yeah.
when you did it, oh, look where it ended. Look where it
Yeah,
is.
The
right?
serendipity of it as well. It's
Yeah.
just, and there was one thing about the during the dark times. We got to attribute staying connected to you and Martha. Having our Tuesday calls and bringing everyone together, and then really, I think that was part of the playing field evening out, like you talk about, because again, we're all seeing things from different angles and seeing different things from different geographies. When we have different states that are seeing the things different.
But now sharing in a sense of, instead of this is my competitive advantage and I'm keeping it to myself, there's
of-
probably more value in putting it out in an open source
Yep.
because it flows back. And when you trust that the flow is there, because I think we've seen enough that the people who don't share,
Yeah.
eventually the tide takes them out. The people that kind of share, sometimes they're out, sometimes they're in, and then that flow
comes
now
back around.
now comes back around. Now we're in a deep flow state because we're getting into the age where we're senior in the piece of it, and understanding how important that is. It's easier to tell the next person with validity, stay this course because it will pay the dividend. Some short plays, either ego-driven or money-driven, they don't necessarily work.
Well, it's funny. To that point exactly, you told me, and it was 10 years ago to right now, about you're the one that pulled me into SISO, and you said, look, it's a long play. Don't expect anything out of it. It takes a long time to get around. So I thank you for that.
Oh, dude, you should be so
handoff.
proud of yourself. I'm looking at this, I'm like, holy shit, this is great, man.
No, man, and I appreciate that because it really was a baton handoff that you gave me for this SISO organization.
No way, dude. There's been no baton handoff. Our relationship particularly has been one of just continuity. Distance at times, but that's just distance of life. Raising kids, getting married, doing all the life stuff. But like the running of the marathon, we should be blessed that we're here.
Yeah, definitely. And your involvement in UFI also, I know that over the years, you and Martha have been instrumental in connecting the U.S. market to that always foreign entity. I always felt like UFI was not something that was spoken about until probably the late teens, with your involvement over there, and then bringing it back and making a connection point, and then having more integrations, because it was always seen as like the way they do things there and the way we do things here. So as things became more and more global, and these entities now have on both sides of the pond, when you look at the mesas that are all operating in the U.S. and all the foreign entities, the Exposium. So,
and you're in South America now.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah, as well. So what's something that, like, as we round out this year and you get into next year, what are some of the things that you're excited about, like some things to look forward to?
I think the bridges that have been tried to be put together are starting to be able to be crossed. And it took a long time to put those blocks in place to create a bridge, because that hasn't been easy. And I think with the consistency of effort and messaging, that we're finally at a point where I think the bridge is built and strong enough that it's okay to say people come cross over into it. And I don't mean that, hey, come into UFI or into that box. I just think the ability to kind of go into a bigger, broader community of people, and you see it, because like on the UFI case, you go there and you see there is a different style of thinking that does value to your business here or to your other aspirations.
Right.
And the bigger the community is, the bigger the information is, the more valuable the data is. And you break it down and break it down. And I think we're close enough to getting the mechanism in place that it'll be valuable for a collective. So I'm hopeful. And then quite frankly, that's why I'm here at SISO this time, because I'm hoping that we finish that up and say, okay, is this the vision piece, and this is where it goes.
Put the last nails in the bridge.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and speaking about SISO, what are some of the nuggets over the years that you found most valuable about being, part of it, either on side, the original when you were involved with as a general contractor, but then, coming here as an organizer and basically a bridge builder.
It's the community that hasn't changed. I mean, some faces have changed, but the community is still the place to feel that you're with your peers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
You make the cynical observations of the people who you don't want to be peers with, but at the same time, you're here with your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I wish it was a little more kind of fun. I think as we've gotten older, the business maintains the business versus the priority of fun. We've talked about that necessity to take what we've been a part of building. It should be I wish more joyful, not so business. Like, we're getting older, and
Yeah.
that we should be having a little more fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
We should be disciplined. We should be more disciplined doing that.
Yeah, being able to balance that, but then sometimes in the ebbs and flows of when things are really good, you're having more fun, and then when you're building, you're grinding, and you're nose down, and I think we're in another build phase now. So
I think with the economy kind of, people getting a little bit nervous, right? This is that time where it's budget time, right? So you're getting into September with that first glance of the budget, and you're kind of having to make decisions about, hey, do I buckle down? So I don't feel that in here. I don't feel tenseness and like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But you'd be naive to not be thinking, I gotta.
Everybody has to protect.
You gotta
the
protect.
house,
You gotta protect the house. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Oh,
Appreciate
yeah, man.
you
We can
coming
talk
on.
all day, dude.
Yeah.